Welcome to the Google Forms crash course. Today you will be learning about the basics of Google Forms. Of course, we can't cover every single detail today. However, we will cover the basics. To make a Google form, you have to have a Google account. So the Google Forms homepage is forms.google.com. Over here, you can make a new form either from scratch or from templates. And if you want to see more templates, you can click on the template gallery. Over here, you can see the previous forms that you made. And over here, you can filter through these forms. And then over here, you can switch to list view. Over here, you can choose how to sort them. And over here, you can open a form that you have stored in your drive. Over here, you can go to Google Docs, Sheets, or Slides, or Drive. And there's also settings. So let's get started in making our own form. If you want to learn how to make Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, and Forms faster, click on the link above. So the first thing is a title. I'm going to call it Our First Form. So this is what people will see when they answer your form. However, it is best to name it both here and here so that it makes it easier to find the form when you are searching for it in your drive. If you name it here and then you click here, it will automatically use the same name. Over here we have an untitled question. And we have a couple of options to choose from. The default is multiple choice. So this is where you type in the question, and this is where you type in the answers. If you want to add another option, click here. Or if you want to add the option Other, click here. If you want to make this question required, meaning that if they don't answer it, they will not be able to submit this form, click on the Required option. Over here, you can duplicate the question if you want to make multiple questions that are similar to each other, or you can delete it. And over here, you can add an image. Over here, you have a couple more options. For example, you can add a description, which is optional. In order for me to explain go to section based on answer, I need to explain what sections are. So sections help you organize your questions. For example, if you want to have a section for multiple choice and another for fill in the blanks. To make a new section, just click on the Add Section icon. Now back to go to section based on answer, I can make this question go to another section based on what they choose. For example, if this is an exam and they choose the correct answer, then I might want to make it go to a section that says good job and vice versa. By default, this option is turned off. Over here, I can choose either to continue to next section, which is the default, or I can make it so that it submits the form right when they finish that section. So let's take a look at some other question types. So I'm going to click on Add Question. For example, there is short answer, where you type in the question and then they can respond by typing instead of choosing. You can also do paragraph, which is very similar except that it gives them more space. You can do checkboxes so that they can choose multiple options. In multiple choice, they can only select one answer, but in checkboxes, they can select multiple answers. You can choose the drop-down menu, which is very similar to multiple choice. You can have them upload files, and as you can see, it gives you a message right here. You can choose the maximum amount of files and the maximum file size. Next, we have linear scale, where, for example, if you're asking for feedback and you're going to say 1 is worst and 5 is best. Of course, you can change it. It doesn't have to be these specific numbers. You can go from 0 to 10. Then we have multiple choice grid. So this is similar to the other one, but for example, let's say I'm going to do, please choose the animal's favorite food. And then I can choose a couple of animals. And the food. And so on. Now let me show you how this is going to look like for respondents. To preview the form, click on the preview icon. And this is the question. They can choose one option for each of these rows. If you want to make it mandatory for them to choose an answer for every row, select this option. And if you want them to be able to choose multiple answers, then click on checkbox grid. So let me make another question. And now we're going to do dates. For example, I can ask them, what is the current date? And they're going to type in the month, day, and year. And you can also do time. So for example, what is the current time? If you want to learn about changing the theme of a form, please click on the link above. Over here are the settings. Over here we have the General tab. You can have it so that the form automatically collects the email addresses of the respondents. If you select this option, that means that they have to be signed in with an account and cannot do it anonymously. You can also add the option for response receipts, meaning that you can allow them to send a copy of their answers to themselves in case they want to see their answers later on. And if you choose this option, you can make it so that either if they request the receipt or make it so that they automatically receive their receipts. If you want to have a maximum of one response per user, then select this option. This means that they will have to be signed into Google. And if you want them to be able to edit after they submit, for example, if they make a mistake, select this option. Over here, we have the presentation tab, so you can show a progress bar so that if you have multiple sections, it will show them how much they have left. And you can shuffle the question order so that the questions are in a random order. And then you can show them a link to submit another response. And you can add a confirmation message. Over here in the quizzes tab, you can choose if this is a quiz or not. If it is, select this option. If you want the respondents to receive their grades automatically, then you'll select immediately after each submission, or you can turn on later after manual review. If you select this, then it will automatically collect their emails. Over here, you can choose what the respondents can see. So by default, they can see their missed questions, their correct answers, and their point values. Sometimes you'll see question marks that look like these or like this in Google Forms. The purpose of them is that if you hover over them, it gives you more information. Of course, if you don't want this to be a quiz and you just want it to be a normal form, then you won't select this option. So after you make any changes, click on Save. Now, if it is a quiz, you're going to select how much the questions are worth. If you have a question that's like this, then you're going to select the amount of points for each row. If you want to undo something, then you can use the shortcut Control-Z or Command-Z on a Mac, and to redo, Control-Y or Command-Y. Now let's go back to the second section. You can add things other than questions, such as images and videos. To add an image, click on the image icon, and then you're going to choose either from Upload, Camera, by URL, Photos, Google Drive, or Google Image Search. When you find the image that you want, click on Insert. And the image was inserted. You can resize it if you want. and you can add a title. You can also add a video. You can either search it up or insert a URL. Here's an example video, then click on Select. And the video is added. Before we test this form, let's choose the correct answer for this question as well. You can have multiple correct answers, but they will only be able to choose one. And you can also add answer feedback. If they submit an incorrect answer, I'll tell them, sorry, that is incorrect. Of course, they won't see this until they submit the form. And for correct answers, yeah, you got it right. And save. Now let's test the form. It asks for my email address. When a question has this symbol next to it, that means it is required. I'm going to answer the first question. And there's also the other option. If I want to type something custom, I'm going to stick to answer number 1. Over here, I'm going to choose wrong on purpose. And I'm going to type in a random time. Then next. Now it takes me to the next section. If I didn't have another section, then it would submit the form. So after I see this image and this video, I click on submit. And then it says thank you for submitting, and it gives me the option to submit another response. Now if I go to the responses section, I can see a lot of information such as the average, the median, and the range. The information that the form gives me depends on if it is a quiz or not. I want to go into the insights section in a lot of detail, but it gives you a lot of information. You can go to the question tab to see what people submitted for individual questions, or you can see individual responses, and you can go through them using these arrows. Over here, it says that the score was not released. If you want to release the score after reviewing that the grade that they got is correct, because some questions, such as paragraph and short answer, have to be checked individually because the Google form won't be able to check if it's right or wrong. And once you review the grade, you can release it. Now, one feature that I like about Google Forms is that it lets you create a spreadsheet from these responses. So if you click on this sheet icon right here, I can either create a new spreadsheet or select an existing one. I'm going to make a new one and then click on create. And I see the responses. If I had multiple people, then I would have more rows. The sheet will automatically update every time someone submits something. Now back to the form. If I want the form to be open for a specific amount of time, when that time is over, I can unselect the accepting responses option, and then I can give them a message if they try to respond. Sorry, you can't respond to this form anymore. I'm going to turn that back on. You can also print an individual response or delete it. Over here are some more options such as undo, make a copy of this form, move it to your trash, or get a pre-filled link. For the pre-filled link, if you click on it, it's going to give you the option to answer these questions. And then when you're done, what you can do is get the link so that you can send it to other people, for example, and show them some example answers. So for example, if I answer these questions, then I do get link, then click on copy link. If I open it on an incognito tab, I'm going to see the answers that I just did. This is useful if you want to send it to other people to see example answers. In fact, anyone with this link can actually edit the answers. Now I'm going to close this. Now I'm going to go back to the form. And I'm going to go back to the more options. Over here, I can either print or save this form as a PDF, for example. So I'm going to click on print. Over here, if I select the destination to be saved as PDF, and then I click on save after choosing my settings, then it will download as a PDF. Or I can choose a printer so that I can print it. If you want to remove this stuff that's on the top and bottom, then unselect this option. Back over here, I can add collaborators so that they can edit this form with me. Over here are the preferences. So for this preference, it will be applied to all forms that I make in the future. If I select collect email addresses, any form that I make in the future by default will collect email addresses. As for these, they will be applied to any questions that I make in the future. So I can make a default quiz points value, or I can make it so that all questions by default are required. I'm going to select this option and save. Over here, you can move it to a different folder in your Google Drive, and over here you can store it. And finally, we get to send this form. So I'm going to click on send. I can either send it through email, by link, or by embedding it. If I choose email, I'm going to type in the email addresses, the subject, the message, and I can choose if I want to include the form in the email. By link is just going to give me a link, and then I have to send it to people so that they can submit. You can also shorten this URL. And over here, you can embed it if you have a website. You can choose the width and the height. And then you can choose on copy. You can also use Facebook or Twitter. In short, Google Forms is a great platform to use to make forms. It is pretty powerful, and I hope that you learned something new from this video. Please don't forget to share it with your family and friends so that they can also benefit, and I'll see you next time.